issue.
Looks like the 12 of Ryan Blaney leaving pit road, spun on the access road, trying to get too much.
Ross Chastain.
Oh, a hit. He got hit coming into his pit stall.
And you see him turned around. Absolute detriment to this team who had led.
Kyle Larson comes off turn 4, and Larson will win at Homestead-Miami.
Probably have a car tough enough for me to be able to run the wall and finish the race. So a lot of fun today. Hope you fans enjoyed the ass kicking there, and hope we can do it again in a couple weeks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of NASCAR Inside the Race, the show that digs deeper into all the action you saw on Sunday. I'm Alan Cavano, joined by two of the best in the business. From the Motor Racing Network, we have Todd Gordon. From NBC Sports, we have Steve Letarte. And both of these guys were down in Homestead-Miami, looking down on all the action. Vintage Kyle Larson, I would call that.
Well, we didn't know where Kyle Larson went. The champ kind of had an off year, made too many mistakes. He said it himself, eliminated himself with a mistake at the Roval. Well, what we saw Sunday, that was the 2021 version of Kyle Larson. That's the guy who won the championship, an unbelievable performance.
Yeah, definitely a class of his own, really, all weekend, and put himself up there with the 24 early and just kept himself there all day. His ability to run the wall. And not only that, but to get down off the wall and run the bottom when you need to. Exceptional speed in that car, 5-car.
Yeah, great stuff from Kyle Larson. We will talk about it all. Let's show you what's coming up on the show. On the box today, yeah, we're going to start with that dominant drive from Kyle Larson, smoking the field on the high side, but we'll explain his only hiccup of the day. It wasn't exactly perfect. We got to find something there. Also, mid-race, pit cycle pandemonium, a caution during a green flag pit cycle through everybody for a loop, drivers, teams. We'll explain who it helped, who it didn't, and what goes on when something like this happens. Doesn't happen all the time. Playoff performances, ups and downs for these playoff drivers. We'll tell you why William Byron didn't have the best day finish-wise, but did have maybe the most important run of the day. So much to break down. As always, let's start at the top. Kyle Larson. We always show you these graphs. Maybe the best graph you want to see, the best graph we've shown you all year is what we're about to show you with Kyle Larson's day.
Some wins are hard to explain. Others are very, very easy. When we look at Kyle Larson's day on the line graph, it's going to look like every crew chief's dream, right? Starts 5th, falls to 5th, out here in the middle of that. Oh, we get a little smarter with my telestrator. Out here, there was a green flag cycle that kind of caught him off guard. He fell back to, all the way back to 5th. I mean, this is as impressive a performance as we've ever seen. And you mentioned it. It wasn't just the top. He could move all around, and I think that's how he kept his track position.
Yeah, definitely worked his way around the racetrack. When he got lap track cars earlier, he showed that ability. But here in this recovery, it was car after car after car. He never got stuck behind somebody. It took a little bit of time to get there, but it was going to be a heck of a run because he was starting to run down the 19th.
And I will tell you, as a race fan in the booth, I felt like I was robbed a little because I was waiting to see how much Larson had left and could he have passed Truex. Instead, we got a great finish anyway, but it was going to be exciting.
As you get longer into the tire runs, the ability to run off the wall becomes harder, and it would have been interesting to see if he had enough left to actually make that pass off the wall.
400 miles, never dropped below 5th place all day. What a run. Rodney Childers said it was reminiscent of Kevin Harvick in 2014, which is a heck of a compliment, so you know Larson did something good. That little blip on his radar there. Let's explain that. We're going to go to lap 210. There was an incident during the race. Green flag pit cycle. Cars are pitting. Things are going on. All of a sudden, a caution comes out. Before we dive in, Todd, when that happens, alarm bells going off as a crew chief, green flag pit cycle, a caution comes out. What happens for a crew chief?
Well, the first thing you're trying to put together is what your distance was to the leader and whether you can service your car and get it back, what you've got to do with that cycle and try to make the best of it, because where you are in pit road will force you to race different places and understand what your separation from the leader could be to take advantage of that and not be a victim of it.
And that's what we had to see. Some cars were on pit road. The caution comes out. Again, green flag pit cycle. Let's break it down because it affected different cars differently.
Well, it starts with let's explain the rules, right? So the rules are kind of very simple. If you're on the racetrack and the caution comes out, you are scored to your previous loop line. It could be a few hundred feet back. We see that in every race. It gets way more complicated if you're on pit road. If you're on this section right here, you are not scored with the leader. When the caution comes out, you then have to proceed to a spot. So it comes down to very simple. It's either pit out or the start-finish line. Caution comes out, the leader slows down, you aren't reestablished in the running order until your car either, I'm gonna get super fancy here, you either get to that spot or you get to that spot right there. And it all determines on where you're pitting, because you have to service your car, then go to those spots. For both the 1 and the 19 who we're going to focus on, they were before start finish. So when they come down pit road, they're in the middle of their pit stop, the caution comes out, they just have to beat the leader to the start finish. If they were farther down pit road, it would have been to pit out. But it's those 2 moments in time that really, really matter.
It's definitely one of those situations that you and I as crew chiefs would select our pit stalls knowing that there's an advantage to being on that side, the turn 4 side of this, that you only have to go to the start finish line. And the 19 and 1 car both executed that.
Yeah, let's bring up the video. We got quad cam here showing exactly what happened, scenario in real time.
All right, this is what I would, if I had more time, we would have tried to do this on Sunday, but let's just say everything you're looking at, right? The 1, he's up in the upper left. Why does he matter? He's coming to pit road. The 19's on the bottom right. He's also on pit road. Those 2 are the ones that are going to get the lucky break. The 5 is the leader. Everything matters to the 5 car, and unfortunately for Ryan Blaney, we have him in there because he is the yellow. So if we roll this forward right here, you're going to see the 1 entering pit road, entering his stall. Bottom right, Truex, great in-car view, entering pit road. He's going to turn left as well. Larson, the leader, he's up here in the middle of 1 and 2, getting ready to come down the back straightaway. Bottom left, Blaney, you're going to see a hood flap. That's a big issue. He's now spun out. Still no caution yet, though, Todd.
No, the caution doesn't come out until NASCAR determines that he's made his way out towards the racetrack and stopped. Here's the place where the caution actually comes out, and you can see the 19's on pit road. He's done his service, and the 1 car is actually rolling out of his pit box back towards the start finish line, because that's where he's got to go to now that the caution's out.
And luckily for them, the 5 was actually coming to pit road, so he had already been slowing. I think that was a big break. So as we push it forward now, remember, it's just a race back to the start finish line. The 5 is slowing, it's under yellow. Bottom right, 19, we're gonna freeze it when he gets there. He's the first, boom. Start finish line, he is now scored in front of the 5, which puts him on the lead lap. Spin forward a little bit more. Right behind him, the 1 of Chastain, also on pit road. It's gonna freeze when he gets to pit road. If you take a minute, focus on the 5 car. He's who matters. Yeah. He is much short of the start-finish line. You pointed out, Todd, Geico restart zone, so we know he's short of the start-finish line.
Exactly. You can see Geico on the wall right there. That's a couple 100 yards short of the start-finish line, and the 1 car has established himself on the tail end of the lead lap at this point.
Yeah, so now as we spin forward, the 5's going to get to the start-finish line. It doesn't matter where he picks up the pace car. It doesn't matter where these 2 actually leave pit road. They just drive right by the 5, take their position. That's where it gets confusing, is if you're sitting in the stands, you're going to say, oh, the 1 and the 19 left pit road behind the 5. It doesn't matter. Their moment in time, their moment in space was scored at the start-finish line.
By being behind the start-finish line, they only had to get to the start-finish line. Where I think the general fan and ourselves at times, if you were in pit stall 15, you'd have had to get to the pit out line and beat him there, which was a more defined place. It's just one of the nuances in the rules, and something that we as crew chiefs could take advantage of opportunities, and these 2 did.
That's my biggest takeaway from all this, is that you guys have to be on top of your game with these rules. When something like that happens, in that moment's notice, you said it before, maybe once or twice a year, this happens. You have to know these rules. When you're picking pit stalls, does that factor in the fact that a yellow could come out during a green flag pit cycle?
It's one of probably 40 things that factor into how you pick pits. But yes, it is one of the things that you look at, especially at a racetrack that you know there's going to be a lot of green flag cycles. And with green flag cycles, low grip racetracks where people can spin out coming to pit road, or as we saw here, leaving pit road, there's an opportunity to make an advantage out of it.
All right, well, and we saw the cause of all that. The caution, unfortunately, was for Ryan Blaney in the 12 car. Last week, we saw him have issues, had a good day, ruined by issues toward the end. Ryan Blaney on Sunday, having a good day, coming out of pit road. We'll tee this up again, what happened to him. This is him coming out of pit road, and it spins it.
Yeah, and on the broadcast, it appeared to me from the booth that he was just trying to get too much. This seems like a pretty normal spin, but we're going to go on board. Listen very closely to the engine. You hear that high pitch rev. That to me seems like first, second, third, not back to, or not fourth. Goes from third to second, downshift, engine rev, spins the car out. Pretty late in the season, in my mind, to be kind of making mistakes with the sequential shifter, but that's what that sounds like to me.
It does to me as well. If you think about if you're driving your normal stick shift on the road, you know, first gear, second gear is back, third gear is back forward. That's the way we've raced since we started racing, right? Third was a move forward, and I think that's what this is. His second gear, he came out, accelerated in second gear, and he went to make his shift to third, or maybe it was fourth, but had that same thought, the old in his head, and went forward with it, downshifted, and that just spins the rear tires.
He's not the only one this year,
no.
So I don't want to make it sound like, oh my goodness, how did Ryan Blaney do it? Other people have done it. The simple point is, You know, when you get into the playoffs, mistakes. You can't have them. We're human. We're all going to make them. But this is a mistake that perhaps could cost the 12 advancement.
Mistakes get magnified during the playoffs. We saw that with Ryan Blaney on Sunday. Some other drivers, too. Let's go over them. We had Denny Hamlin. Didn't have the best start to the day. Here's what happened to him going into the corner here and finds the wall at Homestead. A lot of cars do.
Either a lucky break or a bad break. I'm not sure. I think this car's wrecked and the wall straightens him up. It could have been much worse in the end. Saves the 11's day by that great save or a little bit of luck.
Yeah, fortunately, he was high enough that he didn't get all the way turned around here and just tail slapped it a little bit. And the 5 laps after this, he was top 5 fastest, so it didn't do enough damage to the car, still drove his way forward from there.
William Byron had a good day going, and then toward the end starts tailing off, losing that speed, not when you want to start losing speed.
Well, I wish I could show you something magical, something breathtaking like what happened to the 11, but the problem for the 24 is it was just kind of a slow burn in the wrong direction. You see cars going by him. This is a car that consistently ran inside the top 5 comfortably. That's one thing to have a bad restart. We've seen that. You lose a spot here or there, but you see he just can't stop the bleeding. Every corner he comes out of, he's under attack by another car. So whether it was a change in racetrack with the shadows or an adjustment, it doesn't matter. The fact is, results the same. The 24 falls back. So here's the tale of 3 cars. We have the 24, the 9, the 11. The 24 we just showed you. So let's take a look at his day, right? His day is very good, very good, very good. And then that restart happens and he drops down, a couple bad pit stops and barely recovers. That's kind of his day. The exact opposite side is the 11, right? So the 11 was kind of mediocre. We saw that big slide, and then look what he does. He gets a little bit lucky at times. He was on the right side of the cycle. He goes forward. The 9, we didn't show the highlight because what catches the 9, Todd?
The 9 just kind of was where he was all day long. It didn't seem like there wasn't anything exciting to watch out of him. Just a solid day, you know, kind of making stage points, working his way along. He got caught in that cycle that we saw Ryan Blaney and never recovered from it. Had to take the waiver round, and that put him in a situation, I think he was 14th at that point, kind of rode there from that point on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, that 9 car didn't belong where he ran most of the day, and I say that as a very big compliment to both Chase Elliott and Alan Gustafson. They didn't continue to fight or do something crazy. Super efficient. I don't know if he passed the car on the racetrack all day, but other than the green flag cycle, he didn't get passed by a car. That's harder to do than people think.
In finishing position, we all can understand that, but what teams are wrapping their heads around are points scored. And here's what that graph, it shows us in terms of points scored and why the significance of William Byron and Denny Hamlin's days.
Well, so here's the best way to look at it. Let's take Denny Hamlin, right? So he's right here. I'm gonna put a little line under him, right? So Denny Hamlin runs 7th in the race, top 10, feeling great about his day. He scores 31 total points. William Byron finishes 12th, 5 spots behind Denny Hamlin, 5 spots behind, yet he scores 11 more points, and it all happens over here. Stages. We talk about stages. People don't want to talk about stages. They think we're making a big deal of it. You can save your day with stages. Everybody wants to win in advance, but Todd, points. That's what we're going to have to get to if we want to get to the championship 4 in Phoenix.
Yeah, a third of the possible points in a race happen in the 2 stages. So you've got to go get those, and that's outside of the guy that wins. You know, the 5 car for the owner's championship, the 5 car transfers himself in. But everybody else, it's just about putting yourself in that points position. And if you look at this, you've got to put the whole race together to do that.
There might be even a better example. Maybe I made it too complicated as I look down here. Let me give you another one. Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott both scored 31 points, yet Denny Hamlin finished 7 spots in front of Chase Elliott. You know, it used to be 7 spots in your finishing order was just a crushing blow, but having a good day. So that's when we go back to Chase Elliott kind of blue-collared his way through the day. It saved him. And the opposite, Denny did the same thing. What did he do? He blue-collared his way to a good finish. Now the goal is to put those 2 together and score in the mid-40s, and you'd have a better chance at it.
And all this just stressing the importance of qualifying, the importance of starting out well. We saw it last week. Chase Briscoe didn't start well, ended good, not a lot of points. Denny Hamlin didn't start well, ended well, not a lot of points though. Points matter from the beginning of these races, and we'll show you what it looks like because of those stage points William Byron scored. Let's look at the points going forward as we look into Martinsville. Look who is 5 points ahead because of all those stage points.
Yeah, William Byron barely above, Denny Hamlin barely below, Chase Elliott still holding on to 11-point advantage, all because of what happened. Ryan Blaney minus 18 with the spin. When I look at this, Logano's loving it. I don't feel great about Chastain, even at plus 19. I feel good about him, but I don't think that's an automatic. I think Ryan Blaney could make up 18 points. I do believe for Bell and Briscoe, it's a must-win heading to Martinsville.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And you look at this, and really Martinsville, the epitome of short track races. And you look at the guys that are off of this. The first two, Denny Hamlin at Martinsville, feel pretty good about. Ryan Blaney, I've run really well with him in the past. Really gets around there, wraps the curve around that place. Christopher Bell, I think, could be really strong there. As you said, any of those 7, they all could be there.
Yeah, well, the 24 won of the spring. So, I mean, I can make an argument for everyone on this page.
And we have a notebook, right? The teams have a notebook with the next-gen car at Martinsville. Give me a quick preview of what we saw in the spring. New tire going there. They did a tire test. What can teams expect going into the fall race?
A big challenge. We saw it in the spring. If you think you're just going to make a magical adjustment and drive through the field, it's not going to happen. It's never really happened at Martinsville. Why? Perhaps we would have loved to see more passing in the spring. It's a track where you just, execution matters. Pit road is very tight. Qualifying matters. Being able to control your emotion is going to be huge. We saw that Bubba Wallace penalty. We see this in sports all the time. Emotion, emotion, emotion. Who can stay calm? Because if you lose your cool, panic, and give up 5 spots, I'm not sure you're going to be able to get them back. So it is going to be a grind, and it's going to start when you unload. Practice and qualifying is going to be huge.
Yes, qualifying here I think is a huge thing. I mean, with Joey Logano back, and there was about a 4-year stretch there that we qualified in the first 2 rows, I think, every race. And that sets your day up, because then you're driving in clean air. You're not using your brakes up. You're not beating your car up to try to get positions going forward. This is a little bull ring. I mean, this is as short track as we get in NASCAR, and it's one where winning on Saturday is going to put you in a position to be successful on Sunday.
Clean track, good pit positions, it all matters. And like Todd said, especially when it comes to practice and qualifying. I can't wait. Sunday at Martinsville, elimination on the line. Going to be awesome. Make sure you watch the Xfinity 500, 2 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Coming to you from Martinsville. The championship 4 will be set. It's going to be an awesome race. For Todd Gordon, for Steve Letarte, I'm Alan Cavana. This has been NASCAR Inside the Race. We'll see you next time.
This year, see more. The full field of in-car cameras.